You can also find us on major social media platforms. If you go to miamighostchronicles.com, you can find links to the videos or MP3 files, which you can download and enjoy without commercial interruptions. If you're into classic horror, ghost, and adventure stories, I narrate Nightshade Diary, and you can find links at nightshadediary.com. If scary stories are your bag, and listening to encounters with cryptids, ghosts, dogman, and other weird creatures sends a shiver up your spine, then go to supernaturalstorytime.com for links to our weekly podcasts. Noteworthy news about the paranormal world, true crime, conspiracy stories, and anything that is just plain weird can be found at eerie.news or visit the Stranger Than Fiction Stories tab at miamighostchronicles.com. Please subscribe to my newsletter on Substack. Just go to mppellicer.com for a link. I want to thank you for being part of my audience, and I think you are all wonderful. So, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Good? Well, everything is good over here. If you hear any weird noises, it's that the temperature's dipped over here in Florida, and I had to bring in my exotics because it's going down into the 30s, and I couldn't keep them out there. So if you hear any weird noises back there, it's them. And of course, it's getting towards dusk, and this is around the time for some reason that they become vocal. So, yes, I'm sorry, but I can't help it. Anyway, guys, besides the everyday normal stuff, yeah, everything is good. Well, like I say, dull is underrated. Dull is underrated as far as you know. Everybody's like into the what was it like? I keep repeating this because every once in a while, because to me it's like this is great. Louis L'Amour one time he said that adventure was a romantic name for trouble, and I believe it. Okay, I believe it. So anyway, I know there's a little bit staggered, but happy St. Patrick's Day. There you go. Even though it's a Tuesday, all right. But anyway, let's get off to the good part. The good part is, oh, and I know you guys are going to ask me, why aren't you reading? Why aren't you going over some new paranormal, what's happening out there? But didn't have a chance, and everything out there is too. I like UFOs, but it seems like every story, okay, has to do with UFOs. Which, by the way, I am working on a story, and that's cooking, like on about how they've had all these recent weird deaths and or disappearances of people that are tried or that are tied. They're either scientists tied into astrophysics, NASA, or the that field. That ramifications. I'm gonna bring that in pretty soon. I'll let you guys know about it. But anyway, let's get off to the good part. The good part is who's the guest. This is his first time here in Stories of the Supernatural. His name is Jason Tavares. He was born in 1974 and raised in Cranston, Rhode Island. He's an author of many books and stories, as well as being a writer, actor, and director to dozens of short films. Many of his short films feature individuals that have never been in front of a camera before to recite scripted lines. Outside of the creative process, Jason has spent time in the military, graduated college, and traveled to places that he wished to visit. All of these experiences have helped him to become better at what he does and will be doing for the remainder of his life. Three books that I'm aware of, the three titles that he's written are The Shadow Inside, Existence, The Tale of a Fanged Killer. I got to ask him about that one. And Broken Tracks Beneath Forgotten Windows. Help me welcome him. How are you doing today, Jason?
Thank you for
Let
having
me
me. How are you doing?
Good, good. Let me ask you, of those, are you still working on books or are you working on film or both right now?
I actually have a brand new book being made as of today.
Oh,
It's a
really?
it's
What is
all
that book?
written. It's a short story book. I don't want to release the title yet, but
Okay.
it has 20 stories that are 7 to 10,000 words apiece.
Okay.
And I wrote the whole book in 2016 and then never looked at it again. Wrote it, put it away. Um,
Uh-huh.
I wrote it actually. I wrote it when my dog was alive, and he died right as I finished the book, and I never
Wow.
published it. So now I'm gonna publish it with kind of his name in the theme.
Let me ask you, did you put it away just because what you didn't think it was good, or you didn't have time, or what happened that you put it away back in 2016?
Well, I had published three books, the ones you just listed,
Right.
and not to knock self-publishing, I have to say self-publishing is pretty awesome.
Hmm.
I must have just had bad marketing because
Okay.
I feel they're very good books, and I think this book, if it does, well, which I think it will,
Okay.
it's going to draw the others out. And the others have been, you figure the last book was written in 2013, but
Wow. Okay.
they're still fantastic books. They just didn't catch on. You know what I mean? I guess
Right.
their marketing was off or whatever. I mean, because you figure there's how many 6 to 700,000 publications that are put out a year between textbooks, how to books, fictional stories,
Right.
autobiographies. I mean, there's a lot of competition out there.
So let me ask you something. This book that you're about to publish, it sounds like an anthology. Is it about more or less the same subject matter, or did you just go in different directions for each story?
Each story is different, but they're all strange. They're fiction
Okay.
with some reality, and the reality being like some instances that have taken place in my life. I've tied them into the stories to make them more interesting. So there's some reality, but I'd say about 80% fiction.
Excellent. Yeah, well, those are the best stories. Those are
Oh,
the best
cool.
stories.
So I hope you
Yeah.
read it when it comes out. I'll definitely send you the link.
Yeah, the absolutely. No, I just finished doing the cover for my latest release. I'll show it to you guys later.
Yeah,
I'm aiming my release. I'm aiming for August of this year. I've been
cool.
slogging through that one for 3 years, and I've been dragging my you know what on it. And finally, I said, you know what, this is it. I this year I got to put it out. Because it was like, oh my god, I got to edit it. Oh no, because I got. I said that's it. No more procrastination. So
Yeah.
let's see. I got that one in the on the back burner, but it's like it's almost done.
Nice.
But
What's
let
it
me ask.
about?
It's a it's book 5 of a chronicles that I have called the
Mhm.
Civil Chronicles. It's a supernatural horror thriller kind of deal.
Nice.
Um, and I've written 3 full books and 2 novelettes to go with the saga,
Mhm.
which is the Civil Chronicles. I've written other books, but as far as fiction, this would be number 5 of the series.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, but oh boy. It's like and you know how I don't know, I'm sure I'm gonna put the paranormal on hold for just a second, guys. We're gonna have a writer conference. Do you know how sometimes you write yourself into a corner and then you're like, oh, how do I get out of this? How do I do this? Where do I go from there? Sometimes you're like, I gotta percolate this in my head for a while. So yeah, that happened to me a few times. It wasn't a writer's block. It was just like, okay, where do I go with this? Or how do I shift this so it doesn't sound stupid?
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's got multiple characters in there, multiple scenes all going at the same time. So that also like you have to like really think, okay, how do I make this flow? That kind of deal. But anyway, let's get back to. Let me ask you that book that you've got, that one about the fanged kill. What is that? The fang.
Existence, The Tale of a Fang Killer came out in 2010,
Uh
and it's
huh.
about a character. Now, it's kind of funny because the book's not funny. This is a funny story. The
Okay.
book is about a character who, his name's Orrin Cottage, and he's a vampire right here where I live in Warwick, Rhode Island.
All
So
right.
if I were to ever become a vampire, this is how I would be. So I basically wrote it as if it was actually happening. And it's
Okay.
funny because when it came out, I had an interview on a show years ago. You figure 2010, this was a long time ago. And somebody says, oh, it's kind of like Dexter. And I didn't even know what Dexter was. And they're like,
Okay.
oh, it's kind of like Dexter. And I'm like, what's that? And he goes, the show where the guy does this. And I said, I didn't even know that existed. I thought my thing was the most original thing. So, yeah,
That happened.
you've been around this long, nothing's original.
Yeah.
You can think it is, but yeah, it's really has nothing to do with Dexter. But the vampire
Right.
kind of has a set of morals, even
Mm-hmm.
though they are very dark. Like for instance, in the story, he comes across a dog fighting thing where
Right.
people are doing dog fighting, so he kills everybody there and puts their driver's licenses in their mouth, and then he frees the dogs. Now, when he frees the dogs, one of the dogs is dead. He buries the dog's body with his bare hands on the side of the road. He just digs in the dirt figures a vampire. He's very strong. He buries the dog, and then he jumps on top of the bridge and starts walking down the bridge, and he hears rough, rough. He looks down. It's the dog's ghost of the pit bull. You figure
Okay.
like you freed the dog's soul in a sense. The dog
Okay.
was killed in the dog fight. He buried him, sees the dog's soul. The vampire can see it. And he kind of
Okay.
looks at the dog and smiles. Not long afterwards, I inherit a pit bull that was left in a basement. And the
Okay.
dog ended up being the name that I'm going to use in my new book. Lucy
Okay.
ended up being my best friend. He died Friday, April 22nd, 2016. So I had never touched a pit bull up to that point, wrote about them extensively, and,
Isn't that yeah,
and I ended up meeting one, and he's like, I was scared of him when I met him because he's a monster, and he ended up being like just a big cuddly baby. We ended up being
uh-huh.
best friends.
You manifested that pit bull.
Yeah, I manifested Luki. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And he ended up, being like my kid.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It wasn't like an idle thought. You were writing about it, so you were there engineering it.
Yeah,
Yeah, people
kind
don't
of
realize.
weird actually, but yeah, when it happened, then he ended up getting moving in with me. He had a 75% of the couch, two big Great Dane beds, a medical plan. He got walked 4 times a day, so he went from a bad situation to living like a king until he
Uh-huh.
died. Friday, April 22nd, 2016.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. Things come into your life and you're like, "Hmm." But then you think about it and you kind of like in a way, especially with stuff that you percolate a lot in your head.
yeah,
Like how when people imagine it, which I imagine you were doing when you were writing it, your imagination, you were like, "Okay, how am I going to describe this dog and what kind of dog is it going to be?" And and there you go.
yeah,
That's pretty neat. That's happened to me sometimes, but it's a weird thing. It's not something that it's not like you're obsessive about it because that doesn't work. It's just like when you just like, clear your mind out and you're imagining something, you're trying to come up with an idea.
yeah.
Not imagining, hey, this is the kind of dog I want. This is the dog I'm just writing about in this story. And
And I
then
guess
here
if
you
we had more control over the subconscious, everybody'd be a millionaire. Because
oh, you better
subconsciously, we all want to be millionaires. you
you
know?
better believe it. People
Uh,
don't realize how powerful the subconscious is. I know because I used to do hypnotherapy. So I know how powerful the subconscious is. Believe me.
I
Yeah,
think the
so
subconscious just kind of gives us maybe the things that we think of and we put like in the subconscious. Maybe not everything, but some of the best things like Luki.
oh yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course. And believe it or not, it's really the majority of it. It's just that we get caught up with the everyday and, of course, all the messages, which is what hypnotists call like everything that we take in, whether it's the TV, the phone now,
Yeah,
everything, all that stuff. It kind of puts all that other stuff, but it's there, it's
yeah.
just, you just gotta like for behavior modification, all that other groovy stuff.
Did,
So let me ask you something. So did that vampire have a good ending, or what happened to your vampire I don't know if he was a hero, an anti-hero. What was the end of that book?
you'd have to read it. I can't tell you.
Oh,
That was a good. I tried to draw you in with that scene, and hopefully you do
okay.
read it. You probably like it.
Let me ask you this. Was he an older vampire? Was he a newer vampire or what?
He was in his 30s, like I was when it was written.
No, but I'm saying was he like not chronologically,
Oh,
how long had he been a vampire?
not very long. He was
Okay.
pretty new to it.
Okay,
It's
okay.
kind of like a new thing, almost like it was changing his life, but it was changing his life in a way that he was fitting it in, almost like a new
Okay.
job or a new house, because he had just bought a new house, and I had just bought a new house at that time.
There
So
you go.
yeah, it
Okay.
was one of those
Okay.
things. So it was almost very easy to write, except I gave myself a 1968 Mustang Fastback instead of the Cherokee that I drove. And I
Hey,
love my Cherokee. I just put the
it's
Fastback
just
in.
like why not?
Yeah, why
Well,
not?
yeah, like one of those learn as you go kind of jobs.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you so you said these strange stories. Have you ever considered or have you ever translated any of the books of any of the stories into film?
Yeah, I've actually tried to. Like I wrote the scripts for them, but I never filmed them. I on
Hmm.
my YouTube channel, everything I film, I've used a 2012 camera. I don't have
Okay.
anything newer than that, but I have a tripod and everything like that now. So anything that's big, like 90 pages, I don't put on my YouTube channel. The
Right.
biggest stuff I have on there now is my last film, seemingly Curtis Cusbelch, and that's 50 minutes. But
Okay.
it's a cool film because I mean, not just even the idea. It's a 50-minute film made with one camera. It has 426 scenes in 50
Okay.
minutes and 15 characters and one puppet. He's in it too. He has a quick scene. But he's a yard
Okay.
sale puppet. He's like an item at a yard sale. No offense, Jimmy. But he's at a yard, hanging off of a table. That's the only scene he's in. But
Let me tell you, and it's really funny because one time, this was about 13 years ago. One time we found it was like a dummy, but it was one of these. I think at one point it was a Halloween thing.
but
It was like the size of a doll with a kid, and its head would swing around. And we found it at
yeah.
a flea market. It was kind of like, eh. And we used to do Comic Cons, and we used to booth there, and we used to like put her there on the corner, and it had one of those motion detectors, like if you moved in crime, it would go, "Wah," and then the
Yeah.
eyes would. That thing got more attention than we did.
Oh, that's funny.
Everybody wanted to pose with that doll. Okay, in some of my old shows, she's sitting behind me because I would have her in the back. And one time we even put a baseball cap on her, and she got so much attention because everybody was like, "Wow!" And to be honest with you, I've never seen that doll again or whatever. It was obviously some type of how every Halloween they come out with a bunch of
Oh, yeah.
props. And it must have been out a few years before, and it was just going, and somebody took it to the flea market, but it was great. So let me tell you something. I know the power of the pull of puppets and things like that. So yeah.
Uh,
So let me ask you, how about you personally? Have you ever had any weird or paranormal experiences?
oh yeah, I have tons. I've had them since 1988. I can say was the first one, but the latest one I had, I was on a show. I say about 3 weeks ago. Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise. It's out of Canada. A friend of
Okay.
mine introduced me to the guy, and I was able to get on his show. And he goes, "What's your most recent experience?" And I said, "Oh, it's a good question. It was yesterday, which was 3 weeks ago in a day, give or take. I've been getting handprints on my oil tank in the dust." Now, I live with just my girlfriend. I have no kids, and nobody else goes in the basement. When she
Right.
goes downstairs, it's only to like dig through a plastic tub or
Hmm.
treadmill, and that's about it. Um, I went down there like weeks before his podcast, maybe 2 months before his podcast. I
Okay.
found four fingertips in the dust on the oil tank,
When
and I
you say
thought it
oil
was
tank, what is that?
like the oil tank for the house, like one
Okay, okay, okay,
with
okay,
big metal oil tank, like big giant thing.
okay,
It gets dusty, and every now and again I wipe it, but I hadn't wiped it in a long time. It's just basement dust, and
okay,
I saw four fingertips in the dust. And
okay,
my basement's funny. When you go down the bottom of the stairs, I got four light switches to light up all these different rooms. It's not just one big light that lights everything.
okay.
So I seldomly use the light that's near the oil tank. I use the one on the stairs, go down, turn that light, and go like the workout room or whatever. So I happened to turn the other light on, and I noticed four fingertips. And I said, "Oh, that's kind of strange." And I wrote it off and said, maybe I did it. A couple weeks
Right.
went by after that, which would lead to like maybe a month before his show 3 weeks ago. It looked like sergeant rank upside down with a line next to it, but it was deliberately drawn. You could tell or something deliberately drew it. So I
Okay.
was taking a picture of it, and a little paranormal group I belong to, I sent it to my buddy RC, and he was like, "Oh, that's creepy." And I said, "Yeah, that is creepy." So getting even closer now, right before his show, he asked that question: "What's your most recent event?" Well,
Mhm.
I wish I could show you the picture. It's in my phone. If I show it to you, it'll just be like a square of light. You won't be able to
Right.
really see
Sure.
it. It looks like fingers longer than mine, but this one's bent in a way you couldn't even press against the tank because it looks like it was rolled onto the tank. And this part of the hand is long with a long thumb, and the fingers are
Alright.
longer. So I had turned the light on this another time, this last time a couple weeks ago, and I looked and I went, "Oh my God." So I called my girlfriend down and I said, "You gotta come down here and see this." And she goes, "What?" She thought I was doing a prank. And I said, "No, no,
Uh-huh.
no, this is no prank. It's back to the oil tank again." She comes
Right.
downstairs and she's like, "Oh my God." And she
It's like,
goes,
"I'm
"You
not
didn't,"
going down there anymore."
yeah, she goes, "You didn't do that?" And I said, "You can't twist your finger like that. It's a segment of here, 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 and here with a space, and then a long, like a square looking palm, and then the
Right.
thumb is long. And it's all about that long. It looks like something with a hand like that touched the curve of the oil tank and rolled it to make the print. It's
Huh.
really creepy, but it's a good photo. And I showed it to her, and she was like, "Wow." Now I've cleaned the tank since. I'm letting
Okay.
the dust build again to see
Let me
maybe
ask you
it's there
something.
in a month.
How long have you been in that house?
7 years this June coming up.
And this is the first time you've seen that?
First time I've seen that, but we're getting more and more, and I think it's something following me because I had a condo before this for 11 years and 7 months, and I had all kinds of stuff happen there. Even with her as a witness, and some other people witnessed some
Let me
weird
ask
stuff.
you something. Around the time that you first noticed those prints,
Yep.
was there anything unusual going on or any place that you went to? I know you said
Yeah,
something's following you from before, but just out of
yeah, see,
curiosity.
that's the thing. My whole life, like for instance, I think not last May, the May before, I went to the northernmost point of the Bermuda Triangle on a glass bottom boat. It's Daniel Head Island. So I went to that. I go to
Okay.
the Bridgewater Triangle all the time, and you've heard of that, right?
Oh, yes, I have.
It's Abington, Freetown, and Rehoboth with Taunton in the center. At Freetown Forest, I've been in there now at least 7 times, and sometimes at night. I've been to Salem, I've been to Romania, I've been to England, been to France, been all over the United States. For paranormal stuff. You
Well, let
name
me ask you
it.
something. Around that time, just
Yeah,
prior to that, the first time that you noticed it, and I know what
mhm.
you're saying. I mean, you don't lose prior to that or recently before
Yeah,
that. Had you gone to any one of those places like that?
yeah. The what is it? Not the bridge. Yeah, the Bridgewater. Excuse me, the Bridgewater Triangle.
The
Because we go at
Bridgewater.
least twice a year, me and the guys.
That place is, yeah, I've heard that there's a lot of unusual things going on, and I'm
He
being
didn't
like,
believe it. And it's funny, he brought it up to me in 2021, and he goes, "Hey, he goes, you ever go to the Bridgewater Triangle?" And I said, "Where's that?" And he goes, "It's one of the most paranormal spots in the United States. You never heard of it?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "I live in the center. I live in Taunton." So
yeah,
first time we went, we both saw something.
wow.
And that's weird. And it was during the day. Most of my experiences, and I've said it on other shows I've been on, are during the day. Very seldomly is it something at night. I've never had a terrorizing thing happen at
Right,
night.
right, yeah, like that.
Normally during the day, when you
Let me
very
ask you,
least expect it. You know what I mean?
do you see, do you hear, or both?
I have a photo of a woman, an actual photograph. I didn't see her. I took a picture with those cardboard crank cameras. You buy them for like
Sure.
$10.
Yep.
And then you have to, drop them in a bag and develop them. I caught a
Yes.
picture, full figure of a woman, black, looks like black paper. Looks like you
Okay.
peeled her out of a comic book in Romania. But I didn't see
Really?
it when I took it. I was taking a picture of another couple, and she said,
Uh-huh.
physically seeing, with no witness, unfortunately, I
Right.
saw a creature in Iowa, in Grimes, Iowa, on I think it was the 24th or the 26th of September, 2014. It was a Friday, so it's either 20. I think it's the 26th. I saw this thing probably from 50 to 60 feet away, and I put my hand on a Bible. It was not from Earth. It wasn't. It,
What
it
what
might
did
have
it
been from Earth, but it wasn't from our cat, dog, bird, elephant world.
what
Definitely
No,
from
no. What did it look like?
It looked like just like she was in the photo. It looked like black paper. The only way to describe it. I remember
Mhm.
I was going drinking that night because I was in the military out there for a year. I wanted a night out by myself. I had my
Right.
Rhode Island driver's license, a stack of money in my right
Okay.
pocket, and the key to my apartment. I left the side door of the apartment, went to walk, and there, Grimes back then, 10 years ago, in like 2014, 2015, when I was there, was like a kind of like a country town. It hadn't built, it's probably bigger now and probably ruined compared to how nice it was then, but it was a very quiet little town. So the bar
Mhm.
was about a half mile from my apartment. I had no alcohol in my system. I don't do drugs, never smoked
Right.
pot in my life, and I don't smoke cigarettes. So I'm walking, and across the street from my apartment is a one level, like a little, like kind of like a strip mall. It's like all offices and things. And they got
Right.
the big, like the mall has those parking lot lights that
Yes.
kind of curve down.
Yeah.
I'm walking right before I cross the little side street. I look across the street and I see this thing, and it's sitting there. And it looked. I'm going to tell you a little bit ahead. When I finally found out what it exactly looked like, it looks like a Venezuelan rodent, which is called a Patagonian mara. This
I've
thing
seen
had
that.
long ears like a rabbit, a head,
Uh-huh.
head like that, a long neck, front legs look like a coyote's, those skinny legs, and
Yes.
it's sitting like a rabbit, but it was about this big, probably about 3 feet high. So
Really?
I'm
Wow.
looking at it, and it's looking like this. It's perched on the ground under the lights, not hiding, looking around, and it looked right at me, and I froze. Now all I have on me, no phone, Rhode Island driver's license, money, and a key in my right pocket, and I'm looking, and as dumb as you think when you're scared, first thing came to mind is I can't run back to the building. this thing will catch me. Because
Right, right. You realize I can't. No, I'm not gonna
yeah, I'm
outrun
not going to
this.
stand here and scream. What's that going to do? It's not. No one's going to. There's nobody around. It was only 8 o'clock at night. I
Right.
think 8 or 8:30. I looked at the top of the stop sign. I thought maybe I could climb the stop sign and pull
Like,
myself up. And what are you going to slice your hands open? So I didn't
right.
do that. I just looked at it, and it lowered, and it was looking at me. What saved me was in the distance coming down the road. I heard there was a car. You could hear like music from a
Uh,
car. It turned its head, looked down that way, and ran behind the building. And even the way it ran wasn't real. It bounced like that gargoyle in Ghostbusters 1. It looked
yes.
that much like something not from reality.
And you
And
know that when animals lower their head, they're gonna start the stalking.
yeah,
That
I think it was
lowering the
getting
head.
ready to do something. And I
Yeah.
guess I'm pretty brave because I didn't run, but I wasn't petrified. I was poking
Well, it's
myself.
like, yeah, like he did a pretty good assessment. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
like I'm thinking, like, what can you do? I know I can't run back to the building. I know you're not going to yell. No one's going to come to you in time. Stop sign. You're going to slice your hands open, make the thing worse, and you're not going to be high enough anyway. There's a big tree next to the building. I wasn't about to do that. So this thing lowered itself. It looked. It heard the music of the car coming up the road. Took off behind the building. It looked like a comical bounce in a sense, like boom, 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 way
okay.
behind the building. And I still went to the bar because now I really needed a Jack and Coke.
I bet.
I
Let
walked
me
to the bar,
let
had
me
my
ask you,
drink.
did you ever go walking there again?
Yeah, I walked over the neighborhood. And the funny part about the story is when I was out there, I made a film with a girl I met. And the name of the film was Iowa More Than You Know, like Iowa. Like
Uh-huh.
I owe you more than you know, I
Yeah.
owe you more than you know. And she and I made friends when we were out there, and I made friends with her mom. I'm at her
Okay.
mom's place one night. They said, "Oh, you should come over." Da, 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 after the film was made, because I taught the mom how to use the camera, and she ended up being the camera lady for the film. So the film turned
Okay.
out really cool. And she was a good actress. This girl, she's just a natural actress. I told the mother the story, where it happened, across from my apartment. She knew, of course, I'm not from there. I'm from Rhode Island. And she went in the basement and came up with a book, opened a book and showed me the picture of it, because her and her daughter are Wiccan witches. And she
Okay.
showed me a picture. She goes, "Is that what you saw?" And I said, "That's what I saw, exactly it." She goes, "That's a demonic spirit, demonic creature that you saw." And it blew my mind because I said, "That's exactly what I saw. Long ears, a head, a long neck, about 3 feet high. It looked like a rabbit with longer front legs, but it was black like paper." Now, the next day in work, this is way before going to her mom's house with her. I was telling a guy at work, and he thought I was crazy. And they're all
Right.
laughing in the office. So he's printing pictures and bringing it in. Is it this? Is it? He brought a
Right.
picture of a sloth and all this stuff. He brought a picture of the Patagonian Mara. He goes, "Is it this?" And I took the picture, took a pencil and shaded it in. I said, "That's what it is. It's that color, but like black paper." And he's like, "That's creepy, dude. You saw that here in Iowa?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Right, exactly.
And it's a
Oh,
Patagonian Mara, but she says it's a demonic creature. So, and
right.
I'm
Well,
still
like,
friends
yeah,
with
what
her
is
and her
this thing
mom
gonna
today.
be doing out there in a parking lot?
I don't know. It's something that saw me, and I saw it, and I guess I got to see it. And I still stick to the story, but it was. I called my girlfriend, told her. Had a friend in Florida. I called him, and he wasn't shocked because he knows me for years. He knows things happen all the time like that. But to see something like that, I wish I had a witness, and I wish I had a picture, or at least a witness more than a picture.
Let me
Actually,
ask you, when you saw it, besides obviously you're like, "What is that?"
yeah.
What kind of feeling did you get from it?
The
That
first
went
feeling was you're going to think this is crazy. It's luck. I feel fortunate to see
okay.
things because nothing's ever hurt me. But
Okay.
so in my whole life, like all the stuff I've seen, nothing has come up to me and hurt me or deliberately done anything or like
Right.
burned me or anything like that. So you're looking at it, and it's as fascinating as somebody who's interested in roller coasters or coins or something, or hey, I
Okay.
found this coin, or I went on this giant roller coaster. To see something that nobody I know has seen, and to see it, and I'm a pretty honest guy, I'm a very honest guy, and you know, I looked at it and I said, wow, so it's actually like you're fortunate to be able to see things like that. Because I don't know, like a lot of people see things and like, oh, it could have been this, could have been that. This couldn't have been anything. This was exactly what I explained. And I didn't
Right.
put my hand on a Bible. I'd take a lie detector test over something like that. That's how.
Did you ever well, you know what? That's a kind of a hard thing to find out if anybody in the area had ever seen something like that or
Yeah.
similar to that, or if
Well,
there
what's
were
funny,
reports of that.
the girl I made the movie with works in that strip mall thing.
Okay.
She's been there now for, how odd is that? I meet this girl. She was working somewhere else then. Now she works right across the street from the apartment I lived in. And every Halloween that month we text. She goes, "Oh, as soon as it gets close to Halloween," she goes, "I'm right in the window to see if I can see your monster."
Hey, you know
I said, "You've
what?
never seen it?" She goes, "No, thank God." And I said, "That's cool, but
Yeah,
we
that's
still
it.
keep in
That's all
touch, you
great
know."
until the day you actually get to see it, and then you're like, "Who told me this was a good idea?"
Oh, I
You know?
know, but it's funny. People go looking for stuff like that. There's
Sure.
entire shows shows that I love that are based on it, and I like it too when I go looking for stuff. But stuff finds me. I really
Well, you
don't
know
have
what?
to
I
look.
think that's the most interesting stories, the one where people are just doing their thing, not really, and then you
Yeah,
see or you experience something. Those are the really the to me as far as experiences are the best ones because it's like you take it for what it is. You see what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I
You
had
just
one
like,
in Indiana too. Do you want to hear one from Indiana?
yeah,
This one I talked about on the Dave Schrader show, and I may have mentioned it also on Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise. I had passes from my friend. I wanted to see if he wanted to go to the gym. Do you remember Bally's Total Fitness?
yeah, sure.
The gym. Well, I had free passes, and I said, "Hey, you want to go work out?" This was in 1998, like July, sunny, beautiful day. I drove a little Nissan 200 SX back then, a little
I
1987
remember those.
car,
Yeah.
flip up
Mhm.
lights. Hey, I love that car. So we're going to the gym. We're on the other side of Indianapolis. There's a city bus pulls up. Now we're driving on this busy road, not very fast. City bus pulls up. There was a lot of people had gotten out. A woman got out of the bus in the group with like a grayish color trench. She wasn't black. She wasn't Spanish. She had a tint to her skin. So looking at her, she was actually a kind of like maybe alluring, but just in a quick look that I looked, the look, the noticing her, seeing the coat, seeing the hair, seeing her was like this quick. And I'll tell you why. Here's the bus parked. We're pulling up to it. I'm looking at the people, watching traffic. She got out of the bus, flipped her hair, and it looked like a cobra. All this in her face looked like a cobra. Now here's the
Her
scary thing.
face?
Her face, yeah, it looked like a cobra. But on Dave Schrader's show, I had a rag, and I did this with the rag to show the flip.
Uh-huh.
If you watch my hand, like that quick.
Right.
It was as if she flipped her hair, looked right at us, and we looked at her, and she flipped it back to a person and went back into the crowd. Now, I saw it, and I went, "Holy crap!" You know what I mean? And he
Right.
went, he kind of gasped. Now, Rob isn't into this stuff. My friend Rob, he was like,
Right.
"Whoa." He went, "Whoa!" So I pull in front of the bus. He goes, "Dude, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting out of the car. I want to go over there and see that woman." He grabbed. This is a guy who was a pretty tough guy, very rational, not really into paranormal stuff. He grabbed my arm. He's like, "Dude, don't get out of the car. Please don't get out of the car. It's a sunny day in July." And I said, "What
Right.
did you see?" He goes, "I didn't see anything." And I'm like, "What did you see?" He goes, "All right, her face looked like a snake." I hadn't said it to him.
Wow.
He said it. So we both
Right.
saw that during the day in July 1998. We went the rest of the way to the gym, got in the gym. We were there 10 minutes. And I looked at him and I said, "I don't want to work out." And he goes like, "I don't either." And I said, let's get going. So we're kind of quiet on the way home. Years, we talked about it here and there. He always didn't want to talk about it. I think it rattled him to a degree that,
Right.
because he was the kind of guy who would never talk about his problems very often. Stupid
Right.
stuff. I got a ticket. This guy made me mad, but never like real deep stuff. That I
Yeah.
think that was always in the back of his mind, that he saw that and I saw it too at the same time. Because
That's
years
cool.
later, when I started, this is 1998, like 2010, 2011, I had called him because we kept in touch for years and years. And I had the girl I'm dating now. We started dating in 2014, but we were kind of just seeing each other then. I had him on the phone. I said, "Hey, Rob," I said, "I wanted to, talk with you on speakerphone with this girl, I'm seeing, to talk about the story." He acted like he didn't remember any of it. He goes,
Yeah,
"No,
you know, I've heard
it
of
didn't happen." I think it bothered him.
yes, I've heard of people of that happening. People that have these weird experiences, like maybe a couple or 3 people, and then later on, one or the others just they just pretend like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, like he remembered it, and I could tell by his voice. I didn't want to push the guy. We're friends, but I could tell
Right.
he remembered it, but it was put way back in the back of his head. He didn't want to talk about it. He just
Well,
didn't.
because you talk about it, you make it real.
Yeah,
And you know what happens is that people don't realize besides the reality shift, it's like, your mind extrapolates, okay, if that's possible, what else is out there?
everything.
Because exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. That opens the door to like
yeah,
if I've got a lady that looks like she's a shapeshifter,
yeah.
okay, what does that mean? reptilian. I don't know. I mean, we could go there in
Yeah.
a different
I don't even
million
remember.
ways.
It's funny. 1998. I was never on the internet. There wasn't
Mm,
wasn't like a big thing.
right,
I didn't
right.
even have a cell phone until I became an army recruiter in like 2003.
Okay.
All I had was a house phone. So
Yeah,
I mean, my technology stuff was always way behind.
right.
Like I'm still the guy that digs through the DVD bin at Walmart. I still,
Right, yeah, no, back people don't
yeah,
realize no, it's the truth. People don't realize that once upon a time there was like you said, you had to develop film, you
yeah.
know?
It's
And
crazy.
the what was it? The screen on your phone on a flip was about this big.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's come a long way, but yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. But yeah, a lot of that's how sometimes just people handle that situation, which is I'm just gonna pretend if because if I talk about it, especially to somebody that was there, that's gonna make me remember it. That's gonna make it real. And then when we hang up, all those memories are gonna come right back.
yeah.
Especially with somebody who's like it makes them feel afraid. It's like they don't like that feeling.
Yeah, because I lived out in Indiana till '02, and I didn't start really seeing the girl I'm with now till like we were like seeing, talking, hanging out 10, 11, 12, started dating in 14, like seriously dating. But yeah, you figure I lived out in Indiana until '02. This happened in
Right.
'98, and I brought it up a lot back then, especially around Halloween. And he always was, oh yeah, yeah, but he's like, I don't want to talk about it. You can tell it really bothered him.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, of
like a
course.
lot.
Of course. For him, yeah. Yeah. People like that. Everybody handles things different ways. And it's like denial, denial, denial,
Yeah.
you know? And have you ever had another sighting and not precisely like that, but something like that where somebody shifts or
Well, I had
looks
a sighting of myself. It's
okay,
not paranormal, but it's weird. Like
okay,
here it is. I was stationed at Fort Campbell in Kentucky from '92 to '96.
okay,
I think it was 90. I don't even. I don't know, '93 and '94. One of those years within that time frame. I'm at my desk in my room. I still had my uniform on. We got off work that day, and I think I was writing letters. And the desks I had, they came up with a program back then in the '90s called the BOSS program, Better Options for Single Soldiers. Your room could now look like a college dorm room as long as it was clean. They stopped
okay.
doing like space and all your clothes, and it was still everything else was military, but your room was more comfortable. You could have a TV
Right,
and everything like that. So we had these nice metal like bureau type of desks where there was the doors opened up here, and they had this metal piece that pulled down where you could have a chair and you could sit like a desk. So I'm
right.
in my room writing letters after work, minding my own business. Three of my
Okay.
friends come in the room, other soldiers, and they're like, "Hey man, what's your problem?" And I said, "What do you mean, what's my problem?" And they said, "We just saw you at the PX. The PX is like a Walmart, give or take, on post, like a big
Okay.
store, a giant store." They said they came up to me at the ATM machine, sunny day, came up to me. I'm in civilian clothes, and they tried to talk to me, and I finished my transaction, walked away, and just ignored them. And I said, "Okay, when did this happen?" They said, "Dude, just now. Stop acting like you didn't do it." And I asked what like I had just told you. I said, "What was I wearing?" They said, "You're in civilian clothes." And I said, "Why would I put this back on? Why would I put my uniform back on?" And they
Right.
all looked at each other like, "That's right." And I said, "What did this guy look like?" They said, "It was you. It was you in civilian clothes." And they
A
literally walked up and said, "AJ, talking to me." And I looked at them and walked away. They said, "Apparently." So
doppelganger?
yeah. Now going a little ahead, maybe I don't know, months, weeks, whatever, probably months. I'm driving a big vehicle called a HIMMET. It's
Okay.
as long as a school bus, but they put like artillery rounds in the back. You can carry anything back there. We had artillery rounds, and we're
Okay.
going out to what's called a firing point. I'm
Alright.
driving. I have a guy in the passenger seat because military vehicles, you're always supposed to have somebody in the passenger seat. He's sleeping. We're driving down this road. Another big HIMMET is coming in the other direction. And I'm looking at the driver because you're driving pretty slow. It's a military base. I'm looking at this guy and it's me, but he was a little heavier in the chin. It was as if it
Okay.
was me with like 10 or 12 pounds more, like in the chin. But the
Okay.
face was me. It was me. And I'm looking, and the guy's name in the passenger seat, I remember, this is now almost 30 years ago. His name is Valancourt. And I'm like banging on the metal piece for him. I get, "Valancourt, wake up, wake up." He wakes up as soon as we pass the vehicle. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
"Man," he goes, "I was up late last night. Why would you wake me?" He was mad. And I explained it. I said, "Oh, it's that guy." And he goes, "I wasn't there with them. I didn't know that they saw you." He goes, "Man, you woke." He was more mad that he got woken up. But he
Right,
didn't
yeah,
know
it's like, yeah.
but I got to see him, which was probably the
Okay.
most important thing because it tied into what those guys had seen at the ATM machine. So when I saw them eventually out in the field, I said, man, I saw that guy. And like, you saw him? I said, yeah, he's a little heavier than me. And they said, no, we think he looked exactly like you. I think
So,
probably
and he
the,
was obviously there on the same base.
yeah, and he wasn't a ghost or a phantom. He was just a guy who looked like exactly like me. Like
Wow.
he looked so much like me, he could have gotten on a plane and gone to Rhode Island and said, hey, Ma, I'm home on vacation, home on leave. That's how much
Right.
he looked like me. And I never saw him
Exactly.
again. You know, I never saw him
Weird.
after that. And no one else that I know saw him because they would have brought it to my attention.
Let me ask you, how about your childhood home? Did anything weird happen there where you were growing up?
The only thing, the weirdest thing, which you're going to think I'm a nutcase, I brought this up on Dave Schrader's show, which is funny. I was riding my bike one time. There's two streets. I made a mistake on the other show, too. I said Pleasant Street. I just wanted to correct that if anyone watches any other shows I've been on. It's Niantic Avenue. Not that it makes a big difference, but I like to be very accurate with stuff. And where I grew up in Cranston, Rhode Island, this is in 1988, there's a road called Niantic. And it's a little short dead-end street. If you go up Niantic, there's a little bridge right there. It's never
Okay.
busy. You go across the bridge, and you can go down into Providence, and it's all still Niantic going down there. I went to my friend's house, and he wasn't home. So here it is, 1988, braces, mullet, big head, a real thin neck, I had a big head. That's how I looked when I was a kid. So on my bicycle,
Uh-huh.
his street was a little angled. So
Okay.
I'm kind of on and off my bike. I got my chest on the handlebars the way kids walk
Right,
their
right,
bike
yeah.
because I saw something. I saw Abraham Lincoln. I saw him as clear as I see you. Sunny day, July or August 1988. I was 14 years old. I look and I'm on my bike and I stop and I got my chest against the handlebars and the bridge is like right over here. It's not busy or nothing. I'm walking the bike up. He's like this, pulling on, he pulls on his jacket just like you see in the movies, the hat, looking
Right,
around like this, not as if he's lost, just looking around. He
right.
walked to the end of the street and took a left and he went up this way. I walked the bike up further and he was gone and nowhere for him to go. He would have had to hide under a car or be
Right,
in
right.
front of
Exactly.
to be gone. So now I'm walking across the street, like in the middle of the bridge, looking, and he's nowhere to be found. I pedal home, maybe a quarter of a mile, half a mile. I come in the house. First thing my father said was, "What did you do?" By the look on my face, I'm all sweaty. I'm
Okay, okay. So he's thinking has
yeah,
something
my
happened.
nose all sweaty. But what's
Yeah.
Dad, Dad? And he goes, what? I explained it to him. Now, I always remembered that as my first paranormal experience because my dad believed me like this. He goes, get in the car. I said, okay. I got in the car. I drove him over there to what I saw. There's nothing there. And he told me in the car, he goes, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm a little okay. I'm just kind of, I was excited. I wanted to tell you and everything. And he goes, I've had things happen in my life too. And he goes,
Okay.
just to let you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that we don't know about as people. He goes, you'll see things in your life. So he's had his experiences, I guess, more or less he was telling me.
But you know what? That's really neat that he believed you.
That's the biggest part. Yeah, I always remember the look on his face. He goes, get in the car. No hesitation. Boom, jumped right on it.
Right.
And that spot in Cranston, Rhode Island, is even today is so funny. It's like a little peninsula. You go down the street, you go around the peninsula, and down that road is a restaurant called Twin Oaks. People drive all the way from New York City to eat at Twin Oaks, and they get to that corner, they can't find it. So maybe
Really?
it's different today with GPS, but when I was a kid on my bike, I'd say there was at least 50 people in my childhood. Can you tell me where to get? Yep, you go down there. You wouldn't even let them say Twin Oaks. You already knew what they were looking for.
You already knew what they were looking for.
Yeah, you get to the end of the road. There's no more road. Don't go straight. If you hit the bridge, it's too far. Just immediate fork and go down there. There it is.
It goes to show you. But yeah, I see what you mean about everything happening in broad daylight.
Yeah, right. During the day is something you least expected, but to see him dressed like that, I was more or less looking at the outfit first. I was like,
yeah, who's that guy's dressed like from the 1860s?
Because we get muggy summers up here, really muggy. And I said, what's that guy dressed like that? I'm in like a Metallica t-shirt and, cut off jeans or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Or a Def Leppard t-shirt or something. And this guy has and then the way he vanished, I didn't see him vanish. I must have, when you're pushing your bike like that, I must have looked down. And when I looked up, he was gone. So he literally vanished in that quick of a look down and a look up after turning that corner. And there was nowhere for him to have gone. He wasn't that, no one's that fast.
I know what you mean, that it's like, okay, you can't unless you evaporate.
Yeah, give or take, it was gone.
Have you ever had an experience that you got scared?
The Patagonian Mara thing out in Iowa there, and that I have to say that kind of scared me for a second until the intrigue kicked in, and I felt like it was luck.
Mhm.
Something that actually frightened me to like the core. Uh no, I can't say I've been jolted to that point. Like, now, here's one that spooked me but didn't frighten me. My
Okay.
first visit in 2021 to the Bridgewater Triangle. My friend,
Okay.
we parked at what's called Copper Cut Road. If you
Okay.
ever research that, the Bridgewater Triangle, you'll hear of Copper Cut Road. There's a
Okay.
story of a ghost trucker that goes up and down the road. I don't know if that's true, but that's where we parked.
Okay.
During the day, he and I are walking through the woods, maybe like 3 miles we walked. We're walking out there, and I lately, as a kid in the military, I was never scared of dying from being attacked by a bear. But now as an adult, I go to the woods a lot. I feel I'm going to get torn apart by a bear. I don't know why. We go pretty far in, and
Right.
that's why I don't sleep out in the woods unless it's like at a hotel or a cabin or something.
Right, right, right.
Like,
That's
like
yeah.
my buddy's like, "Oh, let's camp out," and I'm like, "Nah, not if I got a bed at home. I'm not camping out unless we have
Right.
to."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't do that stuff anymore. But we're walking, nice day, 2021. I don't know the month. It wasn't super hot, so let's say May, maybe April, May. We're walking, we hear a crack out in the woods. Now, he said it was a deer that stepped on something. I told him, I said it wasn't. I said it sounded like a dry branch being torn off of a tree, like they say
Okay.
Bigfoots do. They say a
Right.
branch is off a tree. I said it wasn't. If it wasn't that, it was like a 300 or 400 pound animal stepped on something with a
Right.
wide foot. The way the sound was,
Right. The snap. The I know what you
snap.
mean.
Yeah, it was too loud and it was too quick for the time we were in there. We were only like half mile to a mile in. So that was nothing. Nothing happened with that. He's ahead of me walking. I'm behind him, maybe 10 feet. Talking about everything, movies, whatever. I look behind me and out of my. This is during the day now. I look behind me out of my peripheral. There's like a tree, tons of trees in the woods. Something did this
Oh.
beside a tree. It was a black oval, and I saw it
Something
that
like, in
quick.
other words, pulled out from behind a tree and looked at you?
Yeah, just like zoom, zoom, that quick. And I said
Okay.
nothing. I kept walking. I didn't want to be the guy to see something.
All right.
Now,
Okay.
this guy here, my friend RC, he's like as straight laced as it comes when it comes like this guy could be under hot lights and he wouldn't break, but he's like as honest can be. He's just that guy. So
Okay.
he's just like kind of like, if I ever wanted to bounce something off of somebody and get an honest answer, boom,
Okay.
that's the guy. He's a straight shooter. And that's what I like about him. That's why he's a good friend of mine. We're walking now maybe another mile. He goes, whoa, 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 did you see that? And I said, did you see what? And he goes, something leaned out behind a tree.
Oh,
He
see, yeah,
saw
when
it.
they confirm it.
So right there, we stopped. I said, dude, I didn't want to say nothing. I saw it back there. I said, would it look like an oval? He goes, yeah, it looked like a black, not a perfect oval, but enough that I could see it. And he goes, well, maybe it was my eyes. I said, it wasn't your eyes because I saw it back there. So we were all excited. We first time in the Bridgewater Triangle together. Now we
Okay.
got a group of guys we go with when we go, but we both saw something like within a 3 mile trek in a sense, 3 or 4 miles. That
Right.
was pretty cool. We went out afterwards and talking, having drinks, and it was awesome. It was a cool experience to both see something in the
Did
same
and then what
movement.
happened? No more sightings after you both saw that?
Well, we've had a lot of weird instances. We ran into a guy at a gas station that was weird that day, which is odd. Like before we got to the Triangle, we even did it on the first time. There's a gas station near his house, and they make these egg and sausage sandwiches right on the grill in front of you at a gas station.
Right.
So
Okay.
we get him in the parking lot, have a cup of coffee. It's just something we do before we head out. So we did it on the first day we went too, in 2021 before that experience. This guy came up to us in the parking lot. He wasn't a ghost. He wasn't a monster. He was just a regular person. He was walking to his car and he veered like this to come talk to us. Like literally like walking and left face, boom, like
Uh-huh.
we're standing there, we're like looking at him. This guy probably didn't wash up for 2 weeks. His clothes were shiny with like body oils.
Oh.
And he had a
Ugh.
Suburban, like a Suburban with some weird writing on the back. It's like a Suburban pickup, like with the back was
Right.
open, I guess. He
Right.
comes over, he's telling us now, he goes, it was a good conversation at first, saying that,
Okay.
the country's a mess and I'm doing this and I'm telling us all this stuff. Rich
Right.
didn't say anything. Rich is standing there with his coffee cup and his sandwich, just listening. And he's standing here. And you figure all three of us made a triangle heading to the Bridgewater Triangle. How weird that is, our positions. And this guy's telling me he's going back out to kill demons because he
Oh
killed a
my,
lot of them.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so
Boy,
he goes, I'm going back out to key. Now he had a good conversation going, talking about politics and taxes, and I'm agreeing with him, watching him to see if he doesn't have a box cutter or something because he seems
right.
a little off. When he veered to that, and he
And
was
you're like,
telling me
okay,
that he's leaving the world to go kill demons and things, and he goes, I used to do it years ago. I used to kill a lot of them when I was younger and everything like that. So when the conversation was over, he went to his truck and drove away. My friend looks at me, and my friend Rich is so dry. He goes, I'm surprised you didn't give him your business card to subscribe to your YouTube channel. And I'm like, Rich, get in the car. So we kind of think maybe, like, we're in the car. Now you're talking about that on the way to the woods where
right,
I saw something and then he saw something on the same day, the thing that leaned out behind the tree. I
right.
was telling him afterwards, I said, breaking down what the guy says, he may have been a little wacky. You never know. He may have been
Right.
messing with us. But if he was talking about killing something from years ago, maybe he meant a person. And in his mind, he turned it into a
Sure.
demon.
You know what? That's a lot of people with like those mental illnesses that they'll kill somebody and they'll say, "Oh no, they had a demon inside," and
Yeah.
they go that route
It's funny because
where,
when I did, I have this thing I do on YouTube, Jason's Disturbing Experiences. I do it right from my kitchen table over here. That was
uh-huh.
one of them I put on there. My friend Dawn chimed in and said, the thing you saw outside, leaning out behind the tree, maybe it was him. And I went,
You know
whoa, I never
what? I
saw that.
swear that's exactly what I was thinking.
I was like, whoa,
I
that's a
go,
good
"This
thought. And then,
guy." Let me ask you something. In your conversation, did you kinda tell him where you were headed? Like you were going, "Oh, we're going down
no,
that."
because
No.
we weren't really dressed for it. Like we had on like work boots. He had on his
Okay.
hiking boots, jeans.
You never
You
know. Maybe that guy said, "I'm gonna follow these guys and see what happens."
never know. Yeah, really, really weird out
But
there.
that
Like,
but that let me tell you something, that's even worse than thinking whatever that was, because here's this guy stalking you guys just in case you guys have demons inside.
how would he have gotten ahead of us? That's the thing. Unless he was something else, you never know. But
Well, you know what? If he knew that area, if he did that often enough, who knows?
you never know.
When you
Yeah,
know
he
your
knows
way
the
around.
area. Yeah, that's true. Good tracker, as you
That's let
say.
me tell you, people don't realize, because sometimes for crazy people like that you gotta watch out for those.
Oh yeah,
I've
I've
talked
heard a lot of people are the scariest monsters on the planet.
Yeah, well,
The most
you
frightening.
talk to a lot of people that do like either the legend tripping or they go to old cemeteries or stuff like that. Because I was doing paranormal investigations since the 90s.
Yeah,
You even hear people doing the solo stuff, and I said, that's all great, but you got to be careful because sometimes you stumble onto a person or people
yeah,
at places that it's like, forget the dead person. You got to
yeah.
worry about the ones that are there.
No, you're right. 100%. Actually, to answer your question, this you're not going to think this is very scary. This is probably the scariest thing. Also happened in Indiana. I was dating a girl that lived in a cornfield. Okay, and they
Okay.
don't lock their doors back then, 30 years ago in
Right,
Indiana, Iowa. They don't lock their doors.
right.
It's always unlocked. She had a big row of bushes next to her house, so I was walking along the bushes to go in the slider. Now she called me and said, my parents are sleeping. You want to come by, watch TV or whatever. Talk whatnot. Yes, yeah, sure. So I go to a house. I'm walking by this long thing of bushes at night next to a house, and the bushes kind of moved on that side as if
Oh,
something was walking by. So I instantly squatted down and faced that direction because in
right,
my head I thought somebody reaching through the bushes because my mind
right,
always
right.
thinks like that. So I waited and made a couple, a little more rustling of the bushes. It was kind of like those, those trees. They look like they're shaped like this. They're small and they grow real tall. She had a row of
Yes.
those. I don't know the name of them, but it walked. Whoever it was a person, of course, walked a little bit and they stopped, but I couldn't see legs when I squatted down. So I waited and then I went back. Backyard. She had the back light on. I went in the slider door and I closed it and I locked it. When I came around the corner, she comes around the corner and she goes, Jason, is that you? I said, yeah, of course, like that. She goes, were you just in the house? Did you go in the bathroom? I said, I just got here. I parked in your driveway, but I thought somebody walked past the bushes. And she goes, somebody was in the house. I said, are you serious? She goes, yes, they went into the bathroom. She goes, their bathroom door was half open. And then when they went out, they must have just passed when you were coming in. I was like, who? And she goes, I don't know. She was freaked. I was like, unbelievable. She was like scared. Like she goes, somebody was definitely in here. That was probably the scariest experience.
Let me tell you something. You know that, well, first of all, let me tell you know how they talk about these park disappearances and all that other stuff. People don't realize there's a lot of homeless or people that
Yeah,
end up living in the woods
yeah,
or in areas like that, and people don't know about it. And sometimes, if they knew, who knows, that person. And around here, I where I live, there's a lot of acreage, and there's people that sometimes they own like a big piece of land, and they found people like basically living like on the other end of their property, way like 100 acres over,
yeah.
and they go out there, and sometimes you'll have people that these somehow or other they realize, hey, that back door is open, and I know, and I use the bathroom because that's the one thing I don't got.
Well, back then it was a little different, like in the mid '90s. I don't know how it is out there now, but that had to be just, I don't know, for her to be that scared. Like you could see it was no acting. She was like,
Right, like in other words, she thought that it was
yeah,
somebody in
like
the
I got
house.
more scared seeing her face because I've never seen her face
Let
that
me
white.
tell you something. When you said that cornfield, I was thinking of that movie Jeepers Creepers. I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
cornfield. Uh-oh."
Yeah, that was out in Nebraska. They filmed that out in Nebraska, I think. The same thing.
I'm not sure where they
Can
filmed
and
that, but it
Can, I
was
think.
like, and let me tell you something, and I know a lot of let me tell you something, that was common once upon a time, especially in small towns where people didn't lock their doors.
Yeah, they never locked their doors. Like if you knocked on their door, they'd say, "Come in," and I was like, 7 o'clock at night. You don't have your door locked, and they're like, "No, they used to lock. You lock your doors in Rhode Island." I said, "Where I lived as a kid, they used to put a chair in front of the door."
Right, yes, I
Yeah,
forget just the lock.
be on the safe side. Yeah, you lock it, deadbolt it, and we had at one time when I was little at a place we lived in, still in Cranston, but on the edge of Providence. My dad used to put a chair in front of the door in the early '80s because of the people that lived downstairs. My father
Yeah,
was like that worried about them.
yeah,
So,
exactly,
telling
exactly.
that to them there, they didn't get it. They're like, "Really?" It's like, "Oh no, out here doors are all unlocked." I was like, "Wow, that's scary."
Right. And it just also has to do with the way you grow up, because if you grow up that way, it's like doesn't matter where you live. It's like I'm still locking the door no matter
Yeah.
what.
Oh yeah, I
You
feel
know.
so much better when it clicks. Even though somebody can get in, I'd
Oh
rather hear
yeah.
more noise than less if somebody's trying to get in.
Oh
You
sure.
know, just so you
I
know.
have I tell everybody, I have little dogs, little yippy dogs. They're all mixed in. I tell everybody, let me tell you, sometimes those are great because they will hear somebody. They'll alert you way before anybody gets close, because and it's really funny because they know the normal noises
Yeah,
of the household, and I have animals out there. I have chickens, and they know they won't bark at stuff like that. But whenever they smell or hear stuff way before you see them alert,
yeah.
and it's like, good luck on anybody approaching or trying to get in here because we're gonna have a heads up
I tell you, a good
way
animal
before.
to have is a Jack Russell because Jack
Oh,
Russells think they're pit bulls.
I
And,
love Jack Russells.
yeah,
They're
they're
smart.
adorable and they're loud. They howl if they.
Yeah,
They'll
yeah,
attack anything. They think they're a big dog.
yes, yes. Some of these, yeah, they have like the Napoleon complex.
Yeah, and they
They're
think
like,
they're rugged. Like they're not. They'll definitely alert you if something takes place.
yes, yes, yeah. But yeah, a lot of people, the when I used to live, when you said that thing about the pit bull down in Miami-Dade County, they for years already they've had an ordinance where you could, if you wanted to have a pit bull, you had to pay like like insurance. You just
Really?
couldn't have it. Yeah,
Uh,
it
well, it
was one of
depends
those
how they're
things.
raised. I mean, it's terrible. It's a strong animal, but if you raise them like a baby, like
Oh
we
no, I
baby
know. That's what I've
ours,
heard. That depends on how what you do with them, as far
yeah.
as when you have him as a puppy, and how you treat him, and what kind of animal he becomes. Yeah,
Yeah, we got
absolutely.
him late in life. I didn't get him till he was 7, and he died at 10. But he was like so babyish. He'd sit next to the chair at night for what's called, I used to call it belly wellies, where
Uh-huh.
he was so strong he'd hit the recliner with his butt and lift it
Right.
like this with me in it, so he could have me rub his belly. That's how babyish he was.
Yeah.
So I would do 25 this way, 25 this way, and then I used to do a thing called the Lukey Dookie car wash before bed, where I stood up. He'd come through my legs and look up, and I used to have to like scratch his armpits and
Right, yeah.
everything, and then tuck him in. That's how babyish he became
Yeah.
for a
Well, let me tell
90-pound dog.
you know that people, they've said animals, both the animal and the people, they live longer when you have
Oh
that,
yeah,
I
you
know
feel
everybody
better in your heart.
talks about the therapy dogs and stuff like that, but that interaction, I'm not talking therapy as in like, but that interaction, that's good for both the animal and the human.
Oh yeah, to love something like that, and like when like I
Yeah.
loved him so much, I know my girlfriend did too. It was like he'd never ask you for a car, he'd never ask you for anything. He just wants you to take care of him.
Sure.
So they're such, natural, such a natural creature. That's like, how could you not love it? You know what I mean? It's like,
Of
not like a
course,
kid where you're
exactly.
like, oh, geez, I didn't buy him the right gift, or am I being a good parent? All you gotta do is treat him right. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Yeah, mine, everybody, well, all of them, believe it or not, are under here. But I tell everybody, wait, where is it? If they get out, I call this is my enforcer. So I
What's that?
just like spray them.
Oh,
That's my enforcer. But no, they're pretty good. They're being good today because every once in a while they like fight over their pillows, or one will stand over the pillow and bark at the other one, like, get out of here. And it's like, okay, calm down, you guys.
oh,
Anyway, Jason, it has been great to talk to you. I would
oh,
love
you
for you to
too.
come back and tell me more stories. Your stories are great.
You want to hear one more? Or do you have a?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sure, for sure.
Well,
Absolutely.
since
Yes.
he's sitting behind me, Jemmy, the puppet there, you can't zoom
Okay.
in on him, can you?
No, I can't. But wait a
Oh,
minute. Wait. Hold on. There we
there you
go.
go. So
There he
Jimmy, this is
let me
pretty
tell you
funny.
something. Happy boy, but creepy.
He's actually from Iowa. I got him
Really?
in Iowa, that right where the Patagonia Mara creature I saw and everything. I come to work one day, and this guy I worked with, he's laughing in the hallway, giggling like a kid. And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Go in your office. Go in your office." I said, "All right." I go in there, and that's sitting on the desk. So I come walking out, and I said, "Why is this on my desk?" Now he lived in Davenport. This guy. We were
Right.
working in Des Moines. It's about 3 hours, 3.5 hour distance. He goes, "Oh, I was at a pawn shop in Des Moines. I mean, I'm sorry, we lived in Des Moines. What city did he live in again, Gabby? I forgot. Cummins? What city did he live in? Davenport. I'm sorry, yeah, Davenport. I can never remember that. Davenport's about 3 hours away. So he was home seeing his family. And he brought it as a joke. He goes, I was with my kids, and they're like, "Oh, Dad, that's so creepy. Why would you buy that?" He goes, "Oh, I know a guy from Rhode Island that would like it." So it's on my desk. I named him Jemmy, Gemmie. That's his name. So
Uh-huh.
this is hilarious. I bring him all the way home from Iowa, and my
Okay.
friend, he stayed over here 4 years ago for like a couple of days in the front room.
Oh.
And my friend is this
Oh.
big. He's 6'4", big Swedish guy. And I told him, I said, "Hey, if you're gonna stay here in the front room, Jemmy has to stay in the room in the
Oh
same."
my God. I knew you were
And I did it as a joke. And he goes, "Oh, I don't care. I'm not scared of Jemmy." I said, "Okay." So we're in the kitchen here, me, him, and my grandson
Uh-huh.
having drinks and catching up on things. All the power goes out. Now this is 4 years ago. Yeah,
Oh my
it was
God.
like everything went out, and I'm
All
like,
right.
"What the heck?" Now he's an electrician. This guy, he's like a master
Okay.
electrician. I go outside. Every house on the street has full power. Only this house is dark. So we're all outside, and I look at him and I went, "Oh crap!" And my girlfriend's like, "What?" And I said, "Jemmy." And they're like, "Get out of here." So we go back in that front room. The light from the moon's coming through the blinds right on his face like that. And Nick goes, "Oh my God." So I picked Jemmy up. I said, "All right, it's time to take you back to the basement to your box." We all went downstairs, tripped the breaker, lights came on. I've never lost power since. It's been 4 years.
And
That's weird. Maybe it didn't happen
let
because
me
of
tell
him,
you something,
but
maybe
it's creepy. That's creepy.
I bet you he was like, well, I'm glad you put Jemmy in the basement because if you were going to put him in the room with me, forget it. I'm going to go sleep at
That's
the
what he said. He
hotel.
goes, "Yeah, after that, I'm not
Yeah,
sleeping.
see?
I'm not sleeping in the
See?
room." And he's a
He
big
was like,
guy, too.
there's
He's a
no
big
way.
guy.
There's no way. Let's not test that theory, but I'm not sleeping with Jemmy in the room with me.
But seeing us taking him down there was funny. I had him here. I said, "It's okay, Jimmy. We're just going back to your box." Put him in the box. He's got clasps all over his box. Like,
And you don't know
wow.
the background on Jemmy by any chance?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Do you know the background on Jemmy?
No, he
Like,
bought him somewhere out there and left him on my desk. And the way he's dressed, he looks like he's from the 60s.
yeah,
Like, he's got the
yeah, he
turtleneck.
does.
Like, I can bring him over here if you'd like.
Yeah,
Man. It's funny. He was on Raphael's show, too. He's getting a lot of screen time.
look at that. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's got the
Oh,
the string in the back, but it falls open like
what
if
was
you
that?
shake it.
There was a movie that, what was it? Anthony Hopkins? No, yeah, Anthony Hopkins did when he was really young, and it
Oh
had,
yeah, I have that.
and it was like that dummy, like was like that, looked
I
like
can't remember
that.
the name, but I
But
actually have
but
the
he was doing. I
DVD.
think he was like a ventriloquist kind of deal.
Burgess Meredith is in the movie too, right?
I can't remember possibly,
Yeah, I
but
have
it
it
was
in the
like,
room. I can go dig it out if you want me to go dig it out.
I'll tell you. Let's see if we can
I
find it.
can't remember. I can't remember the name of
Okay,
it.
hold on. Hold on. Anthony Hopkins. Hopkins event.
Look at Jimmy. He's already trying to take the spotlight. Look at this.
Oh. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't remember it. I have it in there though. It's
Okay,
funny.
the movie was named Magic. Now,
Magic. That's it. Yeah.
it didn't look exactly like that, but
The one in Magic, I think, was scarier. He was like a harder material, like maybe a wood
let me
or harder plastic.
let me see that. That I think the story was like that. It makes you wonder: was this guy? Was he? Was the thing really? Um, was it possessed or was it just all in his mind?
Yeah,
That
that one
kind of.
was in his mind. I think. I think it was driving him nuts.
Hold on, let me see if. Here
Yeah,
we
he's
go.
creepy. He's really scary. He looks real.
Right, and I remember because see how young he was.
Yeah,
All right. But at the end of the movie, it always makes you wonder, like, how much of it was him going crazy
yeah. Or the
versus
doll.
was it really, what was that? But I'm telling you, when I saw that, it was like it's not exactly like that, but it's that mouth thing is
Yeah.
like, oh, but yeah, let me tell you something. Well, let me tell you something. If you don't, you want to make sure your friends don't stay over. It's like you give him that ultimatum. Yeah, but you got to keep him company.
Well,
You
it's
got
so funny that I did it as a joke because I had a little rocking chair. And it was just I wasn't going to make him stay in the room with it, but when the power went out and we went outside and came back in, and the way the light was shining, it was right on his face. And I was like, all right, it's time to take him downstairs. We all laughed afterwards, but I said, Nick, that was funny, but is it weird? He goes, no. He goes, it's Jason. He goes, because everything around you is weird.
to.
Yeah, it is pretty. You can't make that up. It's just one of those things that just strange, like a strange instance. You know what I mean? Something you can laugh at afterwards.
I'm telling you. Mm. Now, you know what? I know a lot of people are wigged out with the clowns and the
Yeah.
dolls and all. I don't personally. It's never. There's people that get creeped out. It's like, nah, not really. Doesn't
You
scare
know
me.
what's scary?
Doesn't.
You know what creeps me out? Have you ever seen the movie Exorcist 3?
Yes. By the way, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it was good when the old lady crawls on the ceiling and
Yes,
looks
the
over
one
the
with George
shoulder.
C. Scott. We're
Yeah.
talking.
Yep.
Yes,
George C.
that.
Scott and uh,
The,
Billy Blibbett there from Cuckoo's Nest. Brad Dourif. Brad
who?
Dourif is the killer.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That he. Well, no. Well, see what happens is that supposedly the guy that's you never it's like there's almost all like a tie-in to Father Damien, the one that supposedly
Yeah.
took took the demon or whatever. But by the way, let me tell you something. That movie was really good. I don't number two, but number three, in and of itself, it was a very good movie. I thought, as far as how when they start doing number two, number three, they start getting worse
Yeah.
and worse. That was a very good movie and a very
Yeah.
scary movie, by the way.
With The Exorcists, I like 1, 3, and Emily Rose. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I've seen
That's
Emily
excellent because
Rose.
that's based on true events, I guess.
Yes, Emily
That is,
Rose.
that
As
is
a matter
great.
of fact, the author of Emily Rose, he wrote The Entity.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yes, he did.
Hmm.
And he wrote also The Woman in White. Remember that movie that he wrote about it? It's almost it's not really autobiographical, but he based it on where he grew up. You've never seen the movie in white, The Lady in
No.
White? Oh
I
my
think
god,
I've
that's
seen
great.
the
He
lady
was
in black, but not the one in white.
no, there's one that's called Lady in White. Wait a minute. And oh my god, it's the little boy that was in Witness, Lucas Haas.
If I saw his face, maybe the name
Remember
of it. A witness
he
with Harrison Ford.
right, you see the
Okay,
little
yeah,
boy
okay,
that
yeah.
played the little Amish boy?
Yeah, he wanted to be with the kid at the end, and he had to leave to go back to his cop job because he knew he could never
Right.
be an Amish person. He could never live in that community. But he kind
Right.
of took to the kid like he could have been a father to the kid.
Well, if you ever have a chance,
Mhm.
okay, this movie came out like it must have been maybe early 80s because let me see. Well, he wrote the author, like you said, of The Entity and everything.
Yeah,
He he wrote this based when he was growing up, like the town. His father was if you have a chance, look at it. It's very good. And Lucas Houses, you could tell he's still young, like he was in Witness.
Yeah.
If you have a chance, look at it. That's a pretty neat movie. I like that movie because even though it has like a true crime, but it also has like a supernatural thing going on with it. It's not interesting movie. But anyway, and that you remember? Did you ever? Do you remember that movie, The Entity, that was based on the book written by him? What was his name again? God.
Um,
Um, well, it came out like I think he was writing these in the 70s, and I believe they made the movie in the 70s.
yeah, the movie I never saw. The book I flipped through, but the
Yeah,
movie I
and
never
Emily
saw.
Rose and all that stuff because all those movies were made around that same time, late 70s, early 80s. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Emily Rose was that? I thought that was made in the 2000s.
no, there's an originally.
Oh, the
Wait a minute.
original. Oh, I thought you meant the one with Laura Linney, because she's the lawyer in the one I saw. So it was like 2006, maybe.
You know what? Okay, you're thinking of The Exorcism of
Yeah,
Emily Rose.
Exorcism, Emily Rose with
Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. I
Tom
apologize.
Wilkinson.
The one I'm thinking about is the one that this guy wrote was Audrey Rose.
Oh, okay. All right.
Audrey Rose, and
I haven't seen that.
it was like a case of it was like a reincarnation ghost kind of deal, which was written by this same guy.
Hmm.
But that's what I'm saying. They all came. I'm sorry. I'm getting my
Oh
Exorcist
no, that's
movies
okay.
mixed up.
There's so many movies out there; it's difficult to keep them straight. Jeez. There's tons
Yeah, I
of them.
know. For a minute there, I thought, because they keep on redoing these older movies all over again. It's
Yeah.
like, don't do that anymore, man. Leave him alone.
See,
Just
that's
leave him
what I
alone.
don't get. I'd like to put that out there, even on your show. Why are there so many remakes? You got somebody
I
like
don't
me out
know.
there. I can write 90-page scripts and non-AI, all human,
Right,
100% human written, and I can
right,
write it in 2 months. And I could
right.
give you a 90-page script. I mean, I have original stuff. There's tons of people out there just
And
like me.
but they keep on, and it's like again, and it's like, is anybody gonna come up with some fresh? Where
I
was
wish
it
I
the
could get
other?
my stuff out there. I got such original stuff, and it's weird because,
Well,
like,
they don't. They don't. They keep on taking and rehashing
yeah,
all these old movies.
like
Everything, even
Roadhouse. They ruined Roadhouse. That
oh
was
my
terrible.
God, it was like, why do you do that? That's some
Yeah,
movies, whether they were great or not, but there was the original. They were good. They become cult classics.
yeah,
And it's not. It doesn't. I'm not talking here. They have to be like Academy Award, but they were great. Everybody knows that movie, seen that movie, whatever. And it's like, leave it alone. Just leave it alone. You can't
yeah. I
come
don't
up
know
with
why they
anything
do it.
original.
They even want
Yeah,
to remake Rocky, and it's like I hope that's not in my lifetime because
exactly.
Rocky, like, perfect. Why would you remake Rocky?
Exactly. Like
You
who
know?
are you gonna get to play the part of Balboa? Like it's
Yeah, and
Sly
why?
Stallone. What do you got? What who?
It's like a
Especially when he's
magical.
still.
It's a magical movie. Why would you remake it? You know what I mean?
Well, now there you go. But lately, I think they're fresh out of ideas.
Yeah,
But you know what? On an aside, I think that, and you tell me what you think. Do you think that Hollywood, as we know it, they're going to get spanked by AI?
yeah. I think the whole planet is.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
most jobs, and I think just my opinion, man. I don't know. Maybe
Mhm.
I'm looking too far ahead. I think in the long run, I think there's about 7 to 8 billion people on Earth, and I think whatever the 0.01% is that manages everything on the planet, like
Right.
the people at the table, as they say, they're always there. I think they want us in the high millions for the planet. I
Oh
don't.
yeah. Well,
So
this is the thing. What's going to happen is before there was always a different echelons of jobs,
yeah,
something that was technical or engineering, but then you had your factory work and you had your middle stuff. There was always a spot, a niche for everybody, regardless of what your education or what you like to do. If you
right,
went to the trades, whatever. But nowadays, let me tell you, the ones that really have to worry are the people that are technically trained, you know, well, acting, I think pretty soon what they're going to do is some studios say, well, we'll tell the computer, the AI, to make a composite of these actors
right.
or whatever, but they own it. That's their image. They own that image.
Still
Okay.
sad. I mean, it's an end of a skilled profession. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's I don't know. I'm kind of glad I'm the age I am. Like I'm in my 50s, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be a young kid today or a baby being born. I just wouldn't. So
Well,
kind
I
of,
think that I think I think the only if you look at it, there's certain things I don't think AI can do,
yeah.
but I want to say that that's what I'm saying. Anything that's computer based or technical, you're you're going to get replaced. But let's face it, as far as I know, AI can't come and do plumbing work for you. You see what I'm saying?
Not yet, but the robots
Well, not yet.
uh,
Okay, I'm trying to
definitely.
be, but even then,
Uh,
sometimes I think they put a lot more. They kind of like giving it too much credit. Sometimes I think,
oh yeah, of course. And
you
on
know,
top of it too, when you look at the news, nothing's real. You don't even know what you're reading anymore.
exactly. And
So it's like,
sometimes you see stuff, and then later on, with AI, they can enhance it. They can
yeah.
make it look this way,
So it's
and
we're actually so informed now that we're misinformed.
yes, and I hate to say it. Every time I see something, there's always like, "Is how real is that?" You
Yeah,
know,
that's sad. It's so
What's that's like. Once upon a time, we had, there was three channels, three major channels, and that was it. And you got your news from them. Unfortunately, a lot of times we weren't getting the full. And you have to ask yourself, what would you rather have? Three sources or multiple ones like we have now, and then you just have to figure out who's saying the truth and who's not.
I'd like
All
to have like
right,
five. I think five is good.
right.
Five.
Well, but good luck on that. I don't think that you can't put that genie back in the bottle, kind of
No,
deal.
you can't.
But yeah,
Absolutely can't.
I think that AI is going to. Sometimes I think they give it too much credit, but as far as taking over certain job, let's face it, when was it that if you call a phone number, let's say for the bank or for anything, basically that's a basic AI or robotic where that press 1 to go to this department,
Yeah.
press 2, that's it. That was the end of the receptionist. And I'm thinking, you know what, that even still drives me crazy now sometimes because I need to speak to a live person
Oh
and
yeah.
none of the choices you're giving me is what I would need to do. So, but yeah, I look at it from the point of view of a company and they're thinking, wow, you know what? This I can get rid of all these salaries,
Yeah. Where
and
the
all I need
future
to
goes.
do
Scary.
is buy either the software or the equipment. Um, the other day, I'm gonna put it out there. The other day, I was watching this commercial. I was like, "Here we go." It's a commercial. It just came out. It's from TD Bank, which is out of Canada. And the commercial is there's people walking around the street, and there's this little robot because, of course, they try to make the robot all cutie,
Yeah.
like a little robot with one of those little green flags, and it's like make it all like, and it's like at a street corner trying to cross the street, but it's busy and there's a lot of cars crossing. And there's a guy coming along, and he looks and he sees a little robot. He keeps and he turns back and he presses, the so that the lights will stop, so the little robot can cross over. It's like on wheels. It's like a little thing. And I'm like, and then he goes, as human as you can be, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, all right. Okay, they wanna make it because us humans, we're like that, we kinda like if something is like, "Oh, poor thing, it's a robot." No, it's a piece of machine. We have a hard
Yeah.
time sometimes distinguishing that that is inanimate.
That's true. You know, it's funny too if you think about it. They talk about technology. Humans, the way we are now, goes back argumentatively 60 to 120,000 years ago. But we've only gotten smart in 150 years. Because you figure 150 years ago, we had covered wagons, right? We were like, people weren't too far advanced from that.
Yeah,
You know what
but
I
you
mean?
know what? I think we also traded out some of our survival skills or survival instincts or
Oh, yeah,
self-preservation, one
absolutely.
for the
Like,
other.
but I think there was alien intervention to get us where we are because we weren't getting anywhere. If you look at the mid 1800s, that's not that long ago. And if humans go back 60 to 120,000 years ago, argumentatively, that time frame, why are
Right.
we only just getting smart in 200 years, 150, 200 years?
Unless also it also could be like the critical mass, like like when they came out. And sometimes I look at it, I go, man, you know how like when they invented the locomotives and cars and then the
Yeah,
horses went bye bye horses, as far as horse drawn, and everybody's like, oh my god, same thing. When the sailboats, when the steam powered ships came around,
yeah,
then all these clipper ships, they went by the wayside. As a matter of fact, they were hiring all the good captains, off these clipper ships and putting them on steamships because
Mm.
that was, and I imagine back then everybody was like, well, they're something, man, are we overreacting about AI? But I don't think so.
Yeah, I think something with AI has to do with alien. I really, that's what I believe, alien
Yeah.
intervention to some extent. Because I just feel that, like, like I was saying, like if the 1800s were the way the Jesse James time, 1883, this
Right.
time of thing, if the 1800s were like that, and here we are now looking to colonize a planet like Mars,
Right.
why were we dumb for 60 to 120,000 years? It makes, not dumb, just not having this ability. Something had to intervene.
Yeah, somebody gave us a hand up.
Yeah, something had to have happened because it just wasn't happening to the level. And it did happen in a lot of ways because you had like Rome, you had Egypt, you had all the
Right.
technologies that they had. Like, like Rome had flushing toilets, they had
Right.
irrigation
Yeah, they had running
systems,
water and
yeah,
irrigation and things
running
like
water. And then that ended. Egypt, the way it was, ended. You know what I
right.
mean? With the pyramids, the pharaohs, and all those dynasties, that all
Yeah,
ended.
it went through the dark ages, which is
Yeah, and went through the dark ages, and it's I think because we were supposed to, it's like different paths. Probably those are the ones that we were supposed to stay on. You know what I mean? And it ended up something veered us off. I don't know. I mean, it's a very argumentative
have
and
to wait and see.
yeah, to a horror to a it's like a horror movie.
And then you know what, nothing,
It was
and then
everywhere.
you know what, 20 years from now, you remember when Y2K came around, that was supposed to be the end? The
Yeah,
computers, wouldn't they be able to handle the 2000, and oh my God, and
yeah.
nothing happened.
Nothing happened because of the
All right,
OO. Yeah, the OO they weren't prepared for.
nothing happened.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, it has been great to talk to you. We got to
Oh,
stay
you
in
too.
touch. All
Yeah, thank
right.
you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
On the contrary, my pleasure. Take care.
You too. I'll see you.
All right, there you go, guys. So, what do you think? Eh, and where? I'm just looking at something. They're asking me to go do something on Thursday, and it's like, nah, I don't know. Sometimes I say I'm not going to do any more of this because I do certain jobs for certain things. It's like, and then part of me is like, well, all right, where is it at? And it's like, let me see, is it? So anyway, what do you guys think? Hmm? It was great to talk to him. I love people that have those stories. Love it. By the way, let me see if I can. Let me see. Let me see if I can show you my. If I can show you the cover of the new book that hopefully I'm going to have out by August, because you know what, it's what is it, best laid plans. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even going to try to make an excuse for it. It's just honestly, part procrastination, part busy, part that sometimes I get become like too much of a perfectionist, like, oh wow, I that's not right. No, if I don't, that kind of deal. So let me see. And here it is right there. That's the cover right now of the book. Okay, let me see if I can. And that's the Crimson Servants, book 3 of the Civil Chronicles. Like I said, I'm hoping to have it up in Amazon August. At the editing's going and all that. It's like the editing of the re-editing the editing, just to work out those things that at the last minute you're looking at and you're going, wait a minute. There's always stuff that you catch. There's always stuff that you catch. And the grammar and just, little things that it's funny. You do it and then it gets redone and you look at it again and then you find, okay, there's something that you got. How did I miss that? That kind of deal. So yeah, hopefully that will be out soon. Yeah. And Anyway, guys, I hope you really liked the show with Jason. I'm going to have a link to his YouTube channel or his website on the credits of the show. Check him out. I did watch this last film that he came out with, which is really good. And it's true. He uses people that they've not been, they're not actors. They're not actors. And you know what? It's really funny because that's real life. It's really funny because actors should act like that because in real life, people don't act. People sometimes are stilted or depending on the situation, they're like slower or they're cautious or they become quiet or their demeanor, especially let's say in a scene where it's not like, oh, you're with family and friends and you become animated and you're okay, you're comfortable in your surroundings. Real people act, in a different, depending on unusual strangers, they act very low key. So anyway, when you look at it, he does a good job with that of using people that you could tell, no, this is not an actor. And boy, this is bad acting because they're not actors, which is good, I guess is what I'm saying. And I wasn't kidding. The thing about the future of entertainment, where is it going? Where is it going to take us? And I agree. We need fresh ideas. We need new ideas. And I don't know whether it's the writers or whether there's a lot of good writers, but then when this material comes into the people that would produce it, whether it's a show, like a series or a movie or whatever, they're like, no, it's got to be this. I was like, are you kidding me? And I'm so glad. I hope there's no more superhero movies. I'm done with superheroes. I've said this before. I remember when the first Batman movie came out, it was great. It was so much anticipation. Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson. This was like the first. Remember this earlier than that. What was it? You know, the TV show, the black and white TV show. So it was like everybody was waiting for this adult version of Batman. And it was great. And then Superman came out around that same time. Same thing with Christopher Reeve. Everybody was like so excited. It was good. And then years went by, so there was an anticipation. But lately, it's like I don't want to see another superhero, not again for a long, long time, long time. All right, no more superheroes, man. When you get so sick of something that at one point was really enjoyable because it was that now it's like no more of this. Yep, that's how I feel about superhero movies or superheroine movies, whatever. I mean, I found out about hero, and then I know men, and I know that they're into comic books, and they know about some of these really underground comic books, or heroes, or not heroes, but comic book, you know, characters that the general public doesn't even know about, or have ever heard about, or these lines that are real. If you alternate, okay, that's it. Give us a break. Give us some good movies, some drama, and I'm gonna say what I really like, and maybe this is why the superhero stuff is kind of like, ugh. I think the best movies, and we're talking here drama, mystery. I mean, there's a lot of different genres, but when you take the ordinary person, okay, has an ordinary life, okay, not a super rich person or a person who's like down on his luck, like eating like at the bottom of the no, 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 normal person, decent life, not a superhero, not the smartest, not the stupidest, just an average person, okay, and you put them in a situation that little by little just becomes something else, and that they have only their own intelligence or whatever they know to find their way in whatever the storyline is. All right. And they're not a superhero. They've got something to fight for. They have a good life. They're a good person. They're average, as far as their abilities, like an average normal person. And maybe they somehow or other they find themselves in extraordinary or challenging circumstances, and they've only got their wits, and maybe they've got an ally somewhere in there. But you see, nobody that not no more karate people. Okay, no more flying kick stuff, please. No more, no swords, none of that, please. By the way, I like John Wick. Except that last one. I didn't even watch Ballerina. It was like, come on, Ballerina's assassinate you. Stop it. It's like Keanu Reeves should have said, no, I'm not doing this. But anyway, that No more karate stuff, okay? None of that. Just regular person figuring it out and maybe having to, when like a person's put under pressure, that they have to come up with something like some idea or some way or figure something out. Like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do here, how I'm going to get out of this or whatever. That's, I think, is one of, that's a kind of story I would like to see. An original story with ordinary people. And maybe what starts out as an ordinary situation, it becomes something else. And by the way, no UFOs, no zombies. Thank you. All right. There's a lot of other stuff that can happen to people. Okay. Nobody dying of anything, no disaster, because now none of that. All right. There's got to be other things that happen, right? Where it becomes an interesting storyline. None of that. As a matter of fact, there was a movie I saw not too long ago. I can't remember. It was one of these sleeper movies, and I was like, "This is great! What a great movie!" And it took place like in this little town in Texas, and the guy's like a local sheriff, but he's been doing it for a long time. But he's like, "This is a quiet town in Texas, like nothing, small, quiet town," and then something happens, and there's like some type of murder. Oh my God, Marlene, I wish I could remember that. And he kind of like some type of murder or crime takes, and he realizes, like maybe the small town mayor is somehow or something's going on because all of a sudden he sees that he's being like pushed out, which basically, but raises his alarm like, what is going on here? Which, what a great movie that was, because this guy was just an average guy. He's an average sheriff, and all of a sudden, what appears to be like some regular murder or something that happened, it just becomes something else. And then he hangs on. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, no, because this is what he would normally have done. All right. It's not because his wife got killed, not because it's a vengeance thing, because that's another trope. No more vengeance movies. This guy was just doing his job that he had always done. So yeah, let me see. The next time, let me see if I can come up with the name of that movie. Let me tell you, it was a great movie. Maybe it came out maybe in the last 4 or 5 years. So anyway, guys, please go to MP Pellicer, sign up for my my Substack newsletter. And again, you can find copies of everything, video links, podcast links, you name it, it's there. And I will be seeing you all very, very soon. Got some great guests lined up. Till next time.